brand deals and YouTube AdSense. I mean, there is so many other avenues that you can take once you establish yourself. Maybe it could start with renters and start making, a couple 100,000 here or there, but it can explode into so much more.
Wow. Woo, that is amazing. There's no better way to end it than that. What an incredible recap of how you can go from struggling to multi-million dollar income business. So let's jump right into it. And you're originally from Connecticut. Is that what I understand?
Yeah. Grew up in Connecticut in Fairfield County, for anybody that knows Connecticut. Born in Queens, New York. Moved there when I was young, though, to Connecticut. Bounced around a little bit. Went to California, back to Connecticut, and then now I'm here in Florida.
Well, so tell us a little bit about what you did prior to real estate. It's always interesting to find out a little bit about our guest speakers, because I know you're an entrepreneur, a young
Yeah.
professional, and then a little bit why and how you end up kind of transitioning into the real estate business years ago, which is just 3+ years ago.
Very recently, I still consider myself a new agent. Like my previous background had nothing to do with real estate whatsoever. I mean, I was a normal 20-year-old where I was working a whole bunch of different jobs at certain points. I was running my own businesses. I mean, directly before I got into real estate, I was actually trying to open up a medical marijuana facility, a cultivation facility in Massachusetts, which was a neighboring state to Connecticut. And I was flying back and forth, which is weird because I had just moved to Florida. I was going to do the business with my buddy. I was like, oh, that's not really going to work out for other reasons. And then I started doing this medical marijuana. Well, actually, no, it was recreational marijuana. At that point, I tried medical before that. But yeah, we were going back and forth talking to mayors and boards of selectmen and town halls and all this and that. The whole process going. I was trying to get our license. So we actually negotiated our host community agreement with the town of Leicester. I still remember this, in Massachusetts, and it was the first town that opened up a dispensary, I believe, and we got approved. We got voted 5-0, and our funding fell through at the very last second. So right before we were about to get our conditional license with the state, our funding fell through, and I was like, oh shit, now what? I was like, okay, now what do I do? So this was about, I would say, 4 years ago now, and one of my buddies was like, hey, you're in Florida, you have a great personality, you're good at sales and this and that. Why don't you get your real estate license? And I'm like, oh, I was like 3 million agents or whatever in the country. Why is anybody going to work with me? I'm going to be brand new. I have no network down here. I have no sphere of influence. I don't know anybody. Like I have no connections. Like, how am I going to be a successful real estate agent when what I used to hear was it's all word of mouth, right? You have to know people. He was like, no, don't worry about that. You'll find a way. You'll figure it out. So I was like, you know what? Fine, I'll do it. So I went to Gold Coast, got my license, passed on my first try, and fast forward 3.5 years later, as you had mentioned before, now actually I'm actually technically today, I'm the number 2 ranked agent in the company today. Last year I was number 3. Yeah, so
Awesome.
I cannot beat that guy. That John Scalia, I think his name is. I don't know what the hell he's doing, but yeah, he is so far ahead of everybody. I don't know what he's doing, but I'm loving real estate now. Like in the beginning, it was a little tough in the beginning, I'll tell you that. I didn't really know what to do. I was kind of like, at this point, I was still partying a little bit, going to the gym, laying out in the sun, and I wasn't really taking it too serious. But I remember right around December of 2019, that's when I was like, all right, you know what? It's time to grow up a little bit and let me try actually putting some effort into real estate, right? Because the first few months I was dilly-dallying, maybe just learning a little bit. I was actually talking to like Paul Saperstein. I don't know if you remember Tony DeFalco, some of the bigger names down here. And they were like, yeah, do this, do this, do this, do this. And I met one person up in Loxahatchee. I'll never forget this. It was actually a guy, Justin Himmelbaum, big agent now, by the way, too. You'll probably be hearing a lot more of him in the future. Big agent's girlfriend was up here in Loxahatchee, and she was like, why don't you get into rentals? She's like, you don't know anybody. It's really tough to build a network right now. Why don't you get into rentals? So she told me, she was like, go and market them on Facebook Marketplace and see what happens. So I was like, you know what? I'll try it. Let me give it a shot. So I remember going to the office and, going in the MLS, taking some listings, throwing them up on Facebook Marketplace. And this was probably December 2019. And all of a sudden, within maybe like an hour or two, I started getting phone calls. I didn't even know how to talk to people at this point. I was so new, and I just figured it out. I just learned. And all of a sudden, I start getting phone calls after phone call after phone call and lead after lead after lead. And obviously in the beginning, it was tough. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. It was a mess in the beginning. I didn't know how to talk to people. I didn't even know how to do a showing. I didn't even know how to open up doors. So I had to learn all of that, over time. So I remember my first month I did one deal. It was one deal and it was a picky couple. I still love them. I actually remember their name, the Mendozas. It was my first deal I ever done. They were struggling to find a place. It was, a husband, a wife, and like 3 or 4 children, right? And no other realtor would work with them. It was like about to be like, December, Christmas time, like the holidays. And they were like sometimes like crying to me, like, oh, we're going to be homeless. We don't have a home. It's Christmas time. So I busted my butt and somehow, some way, I must have showed them at least 10 properties. And I found them a rental. We signed the contract. I got the deal done and they moved in and they could not have been happier. They were so appreciative of me, especially during the holiday times. And right then and there, I was hooked. That's it. It was like, all right, I love this feeling. I had just made maybe, $1,500, $1,000, whatever it was back then. And I was like, oh, this is great. I could make money for helping people and feel fulfilled. I'm like, why not? So I started doing it, more seriously back, like January, February, March, I was like going. And I started building a business. And my first year, it wasn't anything crazy. I think I did about $80,000 in commission, closed about 50, 55 deals, give or take. Some of those being house sales, most of those being rentals, though, maybe about
Yeah.
4 or 5 house sales or so, which I got off the renters. I got all my house sales off of the renters. I wasn't doing any marketing for purchases, which I'm still not doing, but I can talk about that a little bit later. So I was like, all right, I'm working a little bit, maybe 6 hours a day, but I'm still going to the pool. I'm still going to the gym for 2 hours. I'm going to the shooting range, playing tennis and this and that. Like I'm not really like fully committed to real estate at this point, but I still did about 80K in commission, right? My second year, I'll never forget this. I've told this story a million times. I had my aha moment. I was in the shower with my girlfriend. All of a sudden she looks at me and she's like, Andy, she's like, why are you not applying yourself? And I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like, I'm working, I just made 80K. She's like, I want you to make more money than me. At this time, she's owned her own business and she was doing well for herself. And I'm like, oh, well, I'm trying. Like, what do you mean? Like you mean like you're just after me for my money? And she's like, no. That's not it whatsoever. It was the fact that I was goofing around, playing video games in the afternoon. Like I wasn't really doing what I should have been doing to build a successful business. So I look at her and I'm like, you know what? You're right. Like she made me feel like I was squandering away my time, just like I had done in my 20s. And I was like, you know what? Let me actually put some real effort into this. And that's what I did. In 2021, I started to devote the majority of my time to real estate. This was obviously going into my second year. I probably started putting in like 10 to 12 hours per day just doing real estate. Now I'm like all in, I'm committed, and
Wow.
it worked. I tripled my income. I did about 250K in net commission, take home commission in my pocket. I think it was like 180 deals, 170 deals, something like that. And that was in my second year. And that was after that talk that we had. So it absolutely worked. And then in my third year, I was like, you know what? I'm still not doing everything I can be doing. I'm still leaving money on the table right now. I'm not putting 110% effort right now. So at that point, I'll never forget this. I was never, so maybe I would be getting up to, let's say, 200 leads every single day. Every 24 hours, 200 people would reach out to me as leads. So I wasn't getting to all of them. There would be times, there'd be weeks where I would have thousands, like maybe 2,000 leads just sitting there, just doing nothing with them because I was overwhelmed. I was working a lot, I thought I was working a lot at that point, and I couldn't get back to everybody. So I was like, you know what? I have to really treat this as like my baby, like this is my child now. I got to really make sure I'm putting in maximum effort. So I did. I started changing some of my systems and my processes. I made things easier. I streamlined it to where I can start responding to people way faster. Maybe it would take me, 15 seconds to get back to a lead, and now it's taking me like 3 seconds. So I'm shaving off time here. I'm shaving off time there. I really started to maximize my efficiency. And all of a sudden now I was able to get back to everybody. Once I did that, I doubled my income again. Now in my third year, I did $510,000 in commission. That was recent. That just, that was last year. That was, ended obviously in December of 2022. But yeah, I did about 250 deals, $510,000 in commission in my third year. And but that is, working 15, 16 hours a day. That's everything I got. You know what I mean?
That's
So
amazing.
that was my first 3 years.
That is amazing. So if you hear about pillow talk, now we learn about the aha moment in the shower. So that's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
This is my
Hey, good
shower
for
moment.
her. I
Yeah.
hope you're still together.
We are. Yeah, she's out there right now.
All right, beautiful. That's good.
Yes.
That's great. Well, Andy, I love the story. Great stuff. Tell us a little bit about why and how, after you heard about EXP, when did you join and move over?
Believe it or not, I started real estate with EXP Realty.
Okay, excellent.
Here's the thing though. Here's the thing. So I've been approached, and I'm not even joking. Every single brokerage that you could possibly imagine, from the Ties Company, Keller Williams, Remax, every mom and pop, all of them, 100% brokerages. Everybody has approached me trying to get me to switch over to their brokerage. But here's the thing, I won't do it. I haven't done it. I don't think I'm ever going to do it because EXP is such an amazing company for me. Listen, in my opinion, you know what I mean? If you can make over $100,000 per year, you're going to become an Icon agent, right? Last year, I did Icon in 3 months. It literally took me 3 months to Icon last year, which was pretty fast. So I realized, even Paul Saperstein told me this, and go to my YouTube channel, watch the Paul Saperstein interview I did. I just did it recently, and it was phenomenal. I mean, the guy is just a wealth of knowledge. He's making over $1 million a year right now after losing everything. But yeah, so he told me, he's like, Andy, he's like, why are you going to go and join your own brokerage? He's like, that doesn't make any sense. You could start your own, you can join 100%, you can go to Remax, whatever it is, but it doesn't make any sense. You're making over 100% commission right now. And I said, you know what, Paul, I think you're right, because at this point I'm doing Icon now. I got some of this Icon stock at 10, the 16,000. I got it at like $10 a share. It's at like 22 or whatever right now. Just that 16 grand is at least turned into like whatever, $38,000 right now today. Imagine if it goes back up to the previous high of I think we're at 160, then it's split in half, and then so $80. Imagine it goes back up there. That 16 grand is going to turn into 120 grand. So like, if you think about it that way, you could retroactively make over 100% commission if you Icon with EXP, which I have done every single year since I started taking this serious. I've done it 3 times now, and I'm going to do it again this year. So I'm like, why would I join any other brokerage? It doesn't even make sense. All the trainings, I mean, just EXP, workplace, like everything that we have. I don't know. I don't think any other brokerage can touch us. I always tell people EXP is like the Tesla or like the Amazon of real estate. We're the technology company of real estate. We're friendly. It's like a family environment, even though we have 90,000 agents and we're like the fastest growing brokerage of all time. When I joined, I think we had like 30,000 agents. And today, as you mentioned before, we have like 90,000 in like 3 years, which is incredible. So now there's no chance I'm ever going anywhere else. I just got lucky that I had joined this brokerage. And you know what? A quick little story. So one of the buddies who convinced me to join real estate, he was working with like Keller Williams and mom and pops right before he got into it, making zero money, nothing happening, 2 brokerages, maybe like 9 months, nothing going on whatsoever. Then he joins EXP, and all of a sudden he made like 90K in his first year. He convinced me to join EXP because of his story. So yeah, for anybody like on the fence, like struggling right now, you know what I mean? EXP is the way to go. It's just the best brokerage by far.
Awesome. Well, obviously it's the company, like you said, the Tesla or the Amazon of real estate, as a cloud-based brokerage. What impressed you the most about Glenn Sanford and some of the other corporate leaders?
Wow. I didn't look into him at all. I took my friend's word for it, and I actually did an interview with Glenn Sanford. So again, check my YouTube channel. I threw it up there. But yeah, Glenn's a great guy. He's a phenomenal guy. He's an innovator. What he did with the company. I mean, he took, like the old real estate model and he just like flipped it upside down, because our whole platform is mainly online based. It's cloud based. It's metaverse based with EXP World. Like we don't have like normal typical brick and mortar offices, even though individual teams do have brick and mortar offices. Our corporate offices are mainly in the cloud, which is awesome. It's a technology world. That's the way the future is going. We're going online. We're going digital. We're going metaverse. I mean, look at Facebook. They just changed their name to Meta. So that's the way the world is going. And EXP, Glenn Sanford, and whoever else was involved, they had the foresight to learn this and actually implement it like 10 years ago, whenever the broker started. So, just that alone, I mean, just the foresight to implement something like that, you can't go wrong on that. So yeah, I mean, the leadership, they've done a phenomenal job. And even now, I mean, they're doing things like they just created a Florida board of realtors for EXP Realty, which they actually invited me on. So now I'm on the Florida Council of Realtors. They're doing things to try to help, which is for agents. We're trying to help agents
Right.
out in Florida. So like they're listening to the agents, they're making changes, they're implementing ideas that we have. I mean, I can't even tell you how many times they've come up to me. It's like, oh, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? Do you want to beta test this? Do you want to beta test that? Do you have an idea for, easier rental payments for a different platform so you don't have to get a check anymore? Now you could do it digitally. Like they're coming to me asking me for advice and then they're implementing it. So like what other massive billion-dollar corporation who does that? Like
Right.
a lot don't. So I love the corporation. I love the leaders. I think it's phenomenal.
Thank you very much. I'm really impressed of what you've been able to do so quickly as you've built in the leadership, not only with EXP, but also, in Florida. So all of what you're doing with all these transactions, I think we've figured out that you can't do it all on your own. So how are you growing and retaining your local team, and what does that look like for you when it comes to developing your local team to deal with all these leads, to put all this business together?
Well, I'm happy you asked, actually. So, my first 3 years, 2020, 21, 22, first 3 years where I did the $1 million in net commission, I didn't do that with a team. I did that all alone, only me. I literally had zero help, no transaction coordinators,
Wow.
no assistants, no team members. It was literally just me. So yeah, that's my $510,000 year last year, all me. Did not have help getting to anything whatsoever. So I realized, I think I'd mentioned it before, that's when I was putting in maximum effort, working 15, 16 hours a day. When I was sleeping, I was sleeping. When I was awake, I was working. That's what I like to say. Stopped eating lunch, I mean, like every single moment I could spend working, I would do it. And I'm kind of doing the same thing now, to be honest. I'm kind of replicating that again this year, but just in a different fashion. So I had realized, I'm only one person at this point. $510,000 is a lot of money for one individual to make with no help whatsoever. So I'm like, what if I start developing a team? I didn't know if I can scale up much higher. Maybe if I had done the exact same thing this year, I could have done 600 or 700,000. But I'm definitely not. I wasn't going to double again. I wasn't going to go from 5 to 1 million. I was kind of at my ceiling. My growth would have been a lot slower this year if I had done it alone. I had reached the point where I needed help. I needed to reach out to team members. So listen, I've had a lot of trust issues in my life, and for me, hiring somebody, bringing somebody on board, having to give something up because now I am splitting commission. So this year I am starting to split commission. So that was really rough for me. And I had bounced around from a few agents in the beginning, and I found, I have a little team going right now, nothing massive. So I'll explain it really quick. So I have 2 agents directly under me, and they are phenomenal. They're awesome. They're friends of mine now, great guys, and they're new into real estate. And I really love working with them right now. So we basically started in February of this year, and I started training them for a couple months. And we did a little test run, I think in March, I believe it was. We did a little test run where I was giving them some responsibilities, and it worked out pretty well, enough for me to say, okay, in April, let's go full force. Let's enact, like I call it phase 2, where we're basically splitting everything and we're each getting certain tasks to do. And then they're doing their thing, I'm doing my thing. And it has worked incredibly. So along with this, I have a VA, a virtual assistant. I have an editor now helping me with, all of my real estate content, YouTube, Instagram, all that good stuff. That's about it. So I have a team of like 4 people right now. Actually, sorry, 5. I just brought on another agent, which I could talk about in a little bit. So no, now I have 5 total people working for me. So the 2 that I had brought in originally, I want to talk about this a little bit because that's the main focus of my real estate rental business. Those 2 people, well, now it's 3 people, are really helping me out with that. So in my first month in April, we did about 17 deals, right? So I'm used to doing anywhere from 20 to 30 deals on my own. So
Right.
I had to do a little sacrifice. Like the beginning of this year, I did not make as much money. I think in January, I only made like 12, 15K. February, again, maybe like 10 to $15,000. I took a massive step back in January and February, and even March too. Even April, I took a massive step back because I had to train them. I was developing new tactics, new strategies. I was going on social media. I was creating my YouTube channel, which took a tremendous amount of time, effort, and money. I was doing all of these new things. I had never been on Instagram like a day in my life before. I think it was like February of this year. So I had to devote time, like those things take a lot of time and energy, which took away from my real estate business. So I was like, all right, I got to get help at this point. So yeah, but it worked though, because in March, we did the 17 deals, and I think we made maybe 34 grand. And April, we did the 17 deals. May, we did 30 deals. And then June, which was last month, that's when I really started to see the growth. Okay. We did about 45 deals in June, which was phenomenal. So all combined last month, we did about $100,000 in commission, which is
Woo!
absolutely bananas. So it was my first $100,000 month. I had never thought I would be doing 100K a month this fast. I thought it would take me a good like 6 to 9 months, working with these guys, developing my new strategy, to have a month like that. But yeah, I mean, just combined, I think one of them did like 20 something deals. The other one did like, whatever deals. And then I did a couple deals on my own. So yeah, combined $100,000 a month with a team. So before this, my previous best months, I think it was around like 70K, 75K, something like that, like alone. But now I can do it with a team. They're making a whole bunch of money. I'm making a whole bunch of money. I have more time. They have more time. And then now I can do other things like this. Like there was no chance I can do anything like this before I got a team to help me out. I would not have the time, zero chance I could do anything like that. I couldn't put up a YouTube video. You know how long it takes me to make some of these YouTube videos, all in, sometimes 10 hours,
Right.
plus to make one of these YouTube videos. So yeah, I couldn't do any of that before. So now it's providing me different opportunities. The only reason why you found me was because I started marketing on social media and
That's
started,
right.
building a brand for myself. So yeah, I suggest, if anybody is at a point in their career where you're making a good amount of money, I say something around, I would say quarter of a million, 250,000. Because listen, at the end of the day, if you're building a team, you want to inspire confidence. You know what I mean? You want to be the expert, the master in whatever you're doing, whatever craft you're doing, and you want to build that team based on your credentials. If you don't
Yep.
have great credentials, you're not going to get the same trust level and the loyalty level. You know what I mean? So I think in my mind, you got to reach a certain point. Yes, maybe I could have done mine a little bit sooner, but I had the goal in my head. I wanted to make $500,000 on my own in net commission in my pocket. And I did. And once I did, I was like, okay, that's my goal. I reached it. Now let me try to expand and scale up further than that. So yeah, for anybody looking, if you want to scale up even further, you got to really trust in other people, and you got to start hiring a team, bringing in other agents to share responsibilities, bring in a VA, bring in a transaction coordinator, bring in multiple, assistants, whatever you got to do. Start building a team, start training them, start trusting in them. And trust me, it'll pay off tenfold.
Thank you very much. That's something I need to hear for sure, because I've gone back and forth with different licensed agents that were personal assistants. Definitely need to enter into the VA world and do all that good stuff. That is awesome, Andy. Talk a little bit about RevShare, to start building a RevShare team as well, like what we've done. I mean, that's kind of a big deal for us internationally, but are you doing something locally, nationally, or internationally as well?
I'm just getting into this right now. So over the past, like, I don't know, a month or two, as I started focusing more on social media, I'm starting to build my RevShare team, I guess you can call it. So right now, I think I have 5 agents or 6 agents under me, and it's starting to work. So listen, my whole mentality behind the RevShare thing, which is another thing I kind of forgot to mention about EXP, you get 3% of every deal for every agent that you bring in under you. And then if they bring in an agent under them, you get like 3.5% or whatever it is. So you keep getting money, like passive income for every agent you bring in and they bring in. It's an amazing system, which makes every agent a recruiter. That's, I think, why we're growing so fast. So the
Right.
RevShare model is absolutely extraordinary. I did not focus on this whatsoever until like now, basically. So now I'm trying to bring in other agents. And my whole philosophy behind this is I want to teach each agent that I bring in to make $100,000 a year minimum. So that's my whole goal. You join me under my team. I'm going to show you the way about, at least making $100,000 per year. Like, I don't even think it's that difficult, especially following my, rental model. I don't think it's that difficult whatsoever to make 100 grand. You should be able to do that relatively quickly, even as a brand new agent. I just brought in an agent. She's in Coral Gables right now, and she did 5 deals in her first month as like a brand new agent. Literally made about $10,000 just after an hour or two conversation with me, showing her what to do. Because I do coaching now and training now as well. If anybody wants coaching or training, reach out to me, either my email or my YouTube, my Instagram, whatever you want to do. Reach out to me for coaching or training. But yeah, she made 10K $100K in her first month just after talking to me for an hour or two. So it's working, and I'm seeing that it's working. So all the agents that I bring in, I want to show them there's a different way. You can do this rental approach. I mean, you could even take my philosophies and transition into a different niche, open houses, FISBOs, whatever you want to do. I personally think the rental approach is the best by far, especially for new agents or struggling agents. But you can still take my mindset and my philosophies and try other things. But yeah, building out a rev share team is another layer of passive income that you can
Right.
make from EXP. And I'm starting to expand upon that now. In my mind, think about this, right? So let's just say I can hypothetically teach, and it's working so far. For the first few agents, they're probably on their way to making over 100K this year. Imagine if I can take 100 agents, teach them all how to make $100,000, 3% of that. Let's just say 3%. They don't even bring anybody else under them. That's 300 grand per year. That's $300,000 per year in
Yeah.
passive income
Yeah.
that I would bring in. So, I mean, that's pretty insane, right? Like, how much money is that per month? That's almost like, $25,000 per month in passive income if you could bring in agents under you. So, like, that whole model in my mind, like, I'm just discovering it now, is like extraordinary to me. I don't even understand, how a brokerage can have so many positive aspects like this, to be like, oh, if you bring in an agent, we'll give you 3% of every deal they do. And then you have an incentive now to help that agent out to make more money, because then you make more money. So, like, I don't know. I think this whole rev share thing is phenomenal. And I would like to hear about you, because you have a team of what you said, 100 and something people that you built, which is phenomenal. I have like 5 or 6. So, I'm just getting started on this.
I'll tell you, to be able to make 3.5%, which is $2,800 per year per agent, you do the math, like you said, 100 agents, that's a pretty nice extra income, 300,000 a year, whatever it happens to be. But it doesn't stop on just the people you've trained and taught. How about if they get people who get people who get people? And as that builds through 7 tiers or generations, you have the opportunity, no guarantees, but it does take work to make hundreds of thousands a month. Our number
I
one
know.
income
I know.
earners are making over $1 million a year just on rev share, and life is really, really good. So as we wrap up,
Yeah.
let me ask you a couple things, some quick questions here. Like, if you were to give one or two, and I know one of them would be to focus on the rental market, because I think that's a great way to get your toe in the water, to build your leads and build from renters to buyers, and then buyers eventually will want to sell, so they become sellers. So what are one or two pieces of advice that you give to a newer agent just getting started who's struggling?
So, first piece of advice is reach out to me. um, so yeah, I mean, no, in all seriousness, as a brand new agent, or even a agent that's struggling, doesn't even matter if you've been in this 10 years or not. If you're not where you want to be, if you're not making the kind of money that you want to be making right now,
Right.
focus on one niche. Okay. Focus on one thing. I see these agents all the time. Oh, I'm doing an open house on Saturday. I'm doing FISBOs on Sunday. I'm doing mailers on Tuesday. I'm doing door knocking on Wednesday. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? You're doing all these different kind of niches, and you're not going to become an expert in any single one of them. So nobody's going to know your name. You're not going to build a brand for yourself. It's never going to work. Yes, you might be able to make a few $1,000s here or there, but that's probably why you're going to be struggling, is because you never mastered a certain niche. So I don't care what you're doing. I do think the rental strategy is the best by far, but if you want to do open houses, go and sit 5 or 10 open houses a week. Okay. Like, actually focus on one individual strategy and stick to it and learn everything about it. Because if you master that one strategy, you will succeed. There's no way you will not succeed. If you have one thing on your mind and one thing only, and you're practicing that and you're studying that and you're doing homework on that and researching that and perfecting that, you will succeed. There's no way you will not succeed. That's probably my biggest piece of advice for a brand new agent.
Perfect. All right. I love it. And then, as far as where you see yourself going as your team builds, with some of the things that are changing and shifting in our market, I've been telling people, when times are tough and people can't buy, the fact of the matter is, by renting, and this is why I like that you're converting those renters to buyers, but what are some things that you're looking to do differently, if any, and advice that you give people to deal with these changing, shifting markets that we're working in right now?
Yeah, so interestingly enough, as I said before, I've only been doing this like 3 years. So I haven't even seen like crazy markets. I haven't seen trends. When I started in real estate, it was a buyer's market. I basically got in during the pandemic. Literally, like,
Right.
like I get into real estate, boom, pandemic hits. So I had to really figure it out out fast. And that buyer's market switched over to a seller's market. So I've experienced a little bit of a buyer's market, not really though. Then I experienced that massive seller's market where it just, you remember this, it was nuts. I mean, we would be getting 30 offers for a sale, for a rental, doesn't matter. There was a trillion offers coming in. It was a crazy market. And then now what I've noticed is it's slowly transitioned into a neutral market. I don't think it's a buyer's market. I don't think it's a seller's market right now. I personally call it a renter's market because what are people doing if they can't buy or sell? They're renting. That's what they're doing. They're renting.
Yep.
So yeah, I think
Yeah.
right now even is also the perfect opportunity to get into rentals because we're in a renter's market. You know, we're not in a buyer's market. And I think we're going to slowly transition into a buyer's market. Correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think over the next 1 to 2 years, maybe we'll have a recession. Maybe we won't, you know, maybe we'll have a soft landing. Who knows? But yeah, I think we're going to transition into a buyer's market. And as we do, all of your renters, if you start working with renters now or have been working with renters like me, like I've done, I think at this point, I've probably done like 600 deals. And all of my renters, you know, I have a VIP list. I have a list of like, you know, just people I set up in my MLS, my rent sprays, you know, all of that stuff. I've collected 10,000 emails over the past 3 years. So now I'm marketing to all of those people. I'm setting them up on my CRM, my Constant Contact, KV Core, whatever it is, and I'm marketing to them. I'm sending them a weekly email, just staying top of mind. You know, it doesn't have to be anything particular. I think my last email was best 10 restaurants in South Florida. That's it. That's all I'm doing. Just because they're going to remember me now. So then when they want to buy a house, who do you think they're going to call? They're going to call the person that helped them out with a rental home when nobody else would help them out, and the person that's staying in contact with them right now. So
That's
yes,
right.
I think if you stay in contact with people right now, and if you build up that renter database, those renters will turn into buyers as soon as the market switches. And that's how I'm getting all of my purchases right now. I think this year, I don't even remember, I've probably done about 5 or 6 house sales already this year, which is more than I've ever done previously, because I'm starting to see it's starting to slowly go to that buyer's market. So like, you know, just from those renters that turn into buyers, those came from my rental deals or like a referral from my rental deal, or a renter that I was working with that said, you know what, Andy, I actually want to purchase now. I changed my mind. I don't want to buy. I want to purchase. And they're talking to me. They're using me. So they're going to buy with me. And that's how I've done all my deals so far. I probably brought in at least like 60, 70 grand this year alone, just from all these buyers that were once renters or once trying to rent. So yes, if you stay in contact with all of your renters, they will turn into buyers. I haven't even seen it yet. In my mind, now this is the coolest part, right? So as I was talking about before, I make about $2,000 commission per deal. Let's just say hypothetically, I'm doing 30 deals per month. That's $60,000 in rental commission that I'm bringing in. I'm an icon agent. I keep all of it, right? Actually more, because the stock will appreciate in value once I reach icon. So once you have those 30 deals coming in, right, you can maintain that. You can hire a team to help you out with that. Then
Right.
as the years go by, let's say 2, 3, 4, 5 years, whatever it is, your renters will turn to buyers. Let's just say, use an easy number, right? Let's say we have 1,000 renters that you've done over 5 years, right? If you get, let's just say you get 10% of those renters after 5 years that start buying with you, right? So that's 100 buyers that you're going to get from your 1,000 renter database that are now going to buy a house with you every single year. That's about $1 million in commission, $10,000 average sale deal. That's $1 million in commission. Plus you add that extra 500 or 750 or whatever you're doing for your rental business. Now you're talking $1 million business just from starting with renters. And then it gets even better, because then your buyers eventually, maybe, you know, 5 years down the road, whatever it is, those buyers are going to turn into sellers. So then you get another 500,000 from all your buyers turning into sellers. So now you have a $2-3 million business from your renters to your buyers to your sellers. Then you can start incorporating other things. Now you know everything. You know how to list homes. You know how to buy homes. You know how to work with renters. You could start a property management company. You could start a credit repair business. You can start investing in properties and become a landlord. And you could actually rent out units. You can start social media. You can start doing rev share and recruiting agents. You can start doing interviews like brand deals and YouTube AdSense. I mean, there is so many other avenues that you can take once you establish yourself. So that's what I'm saying. Like, yes, maybe it could start with renters and start making, you know, a couple 100,000 here or there, but it can explode into so much more.
Wow. Woo, that is amazing. Oh my God, there's no better way to end it than that. What an incredible recap of how you can go from struggling to multi-million dollar income business. Andy, you are the man. We are so blessed and highly favored that you came on to share your knowledge and insights. Thank you, Andy. I appreciate it.
Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate you. And everybody, follow me on Instagram. It's the Andy Coleman. Subscribe to me, like my videos. If you want some one-on-one coaching, reach out to me. And that's it. Thank you guys so much.